Good day. This is Chuck Cameron with OCTV. Today we have a special treat, something out of the ordinary for us. We're going to talk about children, we're going to talk about books, we're going to talk about how you, the community, can do something really remarkable to help a child learn to love to read. So today, let me turn to our guest, Kathy Markle.
Correct.
And Brian Cloutier, our librarian. Kathy and Brian, why are you here? Tell us a little bit about what brings you here today.
We are involved in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library program.
Okay.
It's an international program, provides books to children, free of charge to the families, and we are a local affiliate.
Excellent. Brian, what brings you here today?
Well, as the local library director, it is our responsibility to make sure that we are the conduit between the Imagination Library and the public, so that anyone who would like to register for the program, we make the forms available to them at the library and answer any questions they have, so that Kathy and her team can take the ball from that point and run with it. And it's an amazing program, and why wouldn't we be involved?
How did you get involved in such an amazing program? And then we'll figure out what the program's all about.
Well, I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher for many years, as well as a reading consultant, and it was always my goal to get books in the hands of children. I believe that parents will read to their children if they're taught what to do and when to do it. And so I was involved in this program, or involved in other programs, and then I became aware of this program through my neighbor, and we took some time to discuss it and then get the ball rolling.
Excellent. So you're a book person from a long time.
Long time.
And you want to spread the infection?
Exactly. The program is sponsored by Dolly Parton. It's called the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Children from ages birth to their 5th birthday can be enrolled by parents. But in order to be enrolled, there has to be a local affiliate that will foot the bill. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library pays for part of it, but we pay the local end. So to get it rolling, my neighbor was familiar with the program from North Dakota, where her grandchildren live, but there was no affiliate here in our general area. We began to discuss how we could get it rolling and how much it would cost, but then the complications began. Example, I live in Armada, so if we offered it to the children with a 48005 zip code, that would exclude all the other Armada area schools' children.
Let me ask you a question. What's the significance of the zip code? How does that fit into our story?
When you sign up to become an affiliate at Dolly Parton Imagination Library, you claim zip codes that you're willing to sponsor.
I'll take this one.
This is our zip code. But we couldn't draw any clear boundaries. Armada Schools is in 2 counties. It's in multiple, we have 5 zip codes. So then when it starts rolling, you go to 48065, which is Romeo. But then that's part of Romeo schools. And then the dominoes fall. So we had a conversation with Kathy Dickens, who is the executive director at 4 County Community Foundation, and she said, I think we can make this work. So we were like, okay, let's try it. And we decided to take on all the school districts in our service area at 4 County.
Okay. This is children from birth to age 5.
To their 5th birthday.
Okay.
And for our affiliate area, we're talking about 4,200 children, which we would eventually get to, we hope. That's about 60% of our attendance area, our affiliate area. But that costs money. So
Sure.
That's approximately $10,000 a month that would cost us if we ever get to that point. So we organized a group. So Brian got involved. Kathy put out the word to local librarians. We got some other teachers involved, some other retired administrators, and we formed a committee. And we began in June of 2021 to get our committee organized. Basically, it's a fundraising event.
Sure.
Because we did not want to get in a position to invite children and families to participate and then have to close the door and say we don't have money.
Okay. Let me ask you this then, if I can back up a sec. If I've heard you right, Dolly Parton's organization, which sounds like a wonderful group, has decided that they want to make books available to kids, I understand internationally now.
Yes.
It's quite an operation, and they are willing to foot the bill for some of the cost of, I guess, buying the books and mailing the books.
That's correct.
But locally, somebody else needs to step up and cover the rest of the cost. Is that about true?
That's about right.
And that's where you and your crew came together and started out in a modest little 1 zip code target. The dart got bigger and you had to throw more darts, and now you've got 9 townships in it. And you have to raise, we have to raise lots of money to get those kids those books for free. Is that correct?
Right. And just recently, we chose to add one more zip code to our area. Shelby Township is part of Four County Community Foundation's service area. However, Shelby is a very large area, so we took 1 zip code to sort of get our foot in the area there, to attract attention, maybe attract some donors, and attract interest.
Oxford and Brandon and Addison Township are all part of the Four County Community Foundation's service area. So aside from being the library director, I also sit on the board at Four County Community Foundation. And so we at the Oxford Public Library had been considering or contemplating Imagination Library for some time. But as Kathy well knows, the cost of that can seem insurmountable in some ways. But when you're really collaborating on a large scale and using the leverage that the Four County Community Foundation has in our service area, it really only made sense that we start to collaborate as a whole. So very early on, Kathy tasked me with reaching out to my colleagues across the region that make up the Four County Community Foundation service area and getting her the information she needed to be able to get all of us on board. So that, because really, to be completely honest with you, in order for this to be completely successful, you have to have the buy-in from the local public library.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of work that can be done behind the scenes, and that's what is happening on a large scale right now with Kathy and the team that she has. But without the buy-in from the local public library, because we are the outlet to that early childhood development, and so we wanted to make sure that we were a key player involved in it so that it would be successful and sustainable. So sorry to interrupt.
You didn't interrupt, but as part of that, Brian was able to give us the names and contact information for all the librarians. We put information out to each. He's hosted a meeting at Oxford Library. We have monthly meetings. We make sure all the librarians get copies of our minutes or our notes so they sort of can keep up to date with what's going on. And we've had very good support in all the libraries.
How exactly, if this is an organization that sends books to Little Nippers, how exactly does our library, my favorite library on the planet, by the way, how does our library and other libraries get involved? What's the part you all play?
Well, we obviously are a conduit in trying to get the information out to our families, families who maybe are coming to our story time or our youth services programming. So we're working directly with them and our school districts too in coordinating that effort for registration purposes from the public's perspective, if you will. Behind the scenes, we're helping to not just promote the program, but to raise money to be able to sustain the program indefinitely, because that is our ultimate goal. I mean, we don't want to, as Kathy mentioned, it's important to be able to offer a program like this is one thing, but it's also equally important to be able to sustain the program into the future. So that's the role that the library plays, not just the registration component of it, but also in helping to get the word out and helping to raise funds to sustain this program indefinitely.
So let's go back to my early days and just say I have a newborn. I used to. What do I need to do? How do I've learned about it because somebody at some marvelous library will just say the Oxford Library, to pick one, has told me that there's this program where we can get free books for my little nipper, and I'm happy about that. What would I need to do?
Well, if you're at the library, you can pick up a form there. If not, you can go to imaginationlibrary.com, all one word, .com, and they have a box that says check availability. You follow the links there, entering your zip code, your state will pop up. You pick your city, and you pick your county, and it will say, congratulations, there is a program in your area.
And we run back then to your early comment. The zip code has to be sort of in the approved list,
That's right.
so that when I go online and put in 48371, it says my little nipper qualifies.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have had a few glitches. Yesterday I became aware of, we had 48371 for Oxford, listed as Lapeer County,
Yeah.
but there is a Lapeer and there is an Oakland. So this morning, the Imagination Library people and I were emailing, and they have fixed it for us, so you can pick your own county. Then what will happen is it will generate a form. You print the form out and mail it in or drop it off at the office. Those come to me.
Or bring it to the library, and
Yes.
we can be that conduit in getting it to the foundation.
So that could be an easier set. If I got the form, when I get the form, I fill it out, and I could take it back to my library, which is a really good thing to do, because then I could get more books for myself and the family. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So what kind of challenges have you folks had other than spending a year getting up and running by amassing some money in the pot? What other challenges have you had?
Well, we were delighted at the beginning that we put out a challenge grant, and Fort County met the challenge, saying they would sponsor $12,500
Excellent.
matching funds. So we had to match that. Our biggest challenge, though, came to me from somebody else, and it's that the parents of the children who receive the books are not in their giving years. They're trying to maintain basic things at home. They don't have maybe an extra $25 a year, and we never ask parents for money, never. It's not part of any, they don't get any campaign requests, anything. So we need to look at other places to raise money. And we have gone to, started with our matching grant. We have done appeals to Lions, Lioness, schools. We've had church and senior groups, Kiwanis, foundations. We did an event, they did it for us, actually, at Imlay City, did a thing at their fair, Fill the Boot, and we were the beneficiaries of that. Our biggest comes from private donors.
Sure.
Somebody who sends in $25, $30, $150, or we'll take anything. And so we are now up to about $80,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but we're spending $600 to $700 a month, and hoping to raise that up as we enroll more children.
Okay, so what's it cost per child for the whole program, or per child per year, or however
The child started at birth. They estimate, meaning Dolly, Parton, $150.
for the whole program for 5 years?
5 years, 60 books.
That's 60 books for $150,
Right.
and they're mailed to
Right.
kids?
And when the children receive them, everybody gets the first book the same, no matter what age you are when you're enrolled. You get The Little Engine That Could.
Perfect.
Perfect book, no matter if you're on your 4.5 birthday or if you're 1 month old. Every book now comes with little introductions and then guidelines for the parents of what to do before you read the book, during the reading of the book, after the book.
Ah,
So it helps the parents quite a bit.
good.
The books come in format of board books when they're younger, regular quality binding books, and twice a year a bilingual book comes.
Excellent.
So the books are chosen by librarians across the country through the organization,
Yeah.
and they rotate about 40% of a collection every year. So if you have a 2-year-old this year, and 2 years later you have a 2-year-old, you're not going to get all the same books, but you might get some duplicates. And the idea is that each child will have their own bookshelf, so we don't care if you have 2 of the same book in your home, because
That's
they each have
good.
their own books.
Very good.
Come with a label on the back addressed to the child. These are some that I got from somebody else, but they now will say from Fort County Community Foundation.
Excellent. This is quite a program.
Oh, it's really, once you get the mechanics of it, and you get past the magnitude of it,
Right.
it's wonderful.
So then what can those wonderful folks who watch Oxford Community Television do to help fund books for little ones?
Well, first thing you consider a personal donation, and you can go to Fort County Community Foundation. It's 4ccf.org.
4ccf.org. All right.
And you will find a section called Initiatives, and you will find Imagination Library there. And you can click the donate button. You can also write a check and send it in. We have a QR code you can use.
Send it in to where?
To the Fort County Community Foundation office.
Okay, good.
In Elmont. Another thing you can consider if you're in more advanced years and you are already taking required distributions from your annuities or savings, there is an option to do qualified charitable distributions, where you would designate a certain percentage of your distribution to go directly to Fort County for the Imagination Library. Brian was one of the people who told us about this because I think the library gets some of those type of donations. And so another thing that people can do is if you have an organization, a parent group, a Lions group, a civic group, and you would like to have some information, we'd be happy to come and do a short presentation telling you about the program with more information.
So then you're suggesting, I'm leading the witness here, you're suggesting that those wonderful people who watch this good program, and maybe people they know, if they knew of people, organizations and activities and stuff like this that might be somebody that needs to know about this good program, they would get hold of you at, how would they get hold of you?
Best way is to do Fort County Community Foundation.org and do a contact us. Kathy Dickens is our executive director, and she forwards all emails to me.
All right. Now, Brian, let me sneak you in here. Again, since you're my favorite director of my favorite library.
There you go.
If somebody is at the library and is thinking about this, or talked to another parent about this, and said, how do I get involved in this? What would you or what would your staff tell them, and how could you or your staff help them right at the library?
Well, absolutely. If they're in the library already and they're interested in the program, we have all of the documentation that they would need to register for the program.
Good.
Our head of youth services, Kim Buren, has been involved in this whole process along the way as well.
Good.
So she's very well versed in how this program works and how we can initiate that on a local level. I know funding is something Kathy mentioned, and it's not necessarily our biggest push today, but I will say that having personally gone through each one of the applicants from our service area, the Oxford Public Library service area and the Addison Township Library service area, Oxford schools, if you will, I know that there's been a large enrollment in our area. So I can't speak for the entire program of how many people from Oxford have signed up for the program versus how many from other geographic areas that make up the Fort County Community Foundation. But I can say I can attest that there are a lot from this area. And I also know that from my own experience that the people of Oxford and the surrounding area are very generous people. And knowing that this is an extremely well vetted program, very reliable, it's under the oversight of the Fort County Community Foundation. Oxford Public Library has its own endowments there. I sit on the board there as well. I can assure you that the money that would be contributed toward this is going to an excellent cause, excellent oversight, and would be very well utilized to continue to sustain this, not just for the Fort County Community Foundation, but for the people of Oxford and Addison and Brandon as well. So it's an excellent program from that perspective, and in terms of registration, we'll make it as easy as you want it to be. We're here to be, as I mentioned very early on, we're here to be the conduit between the Fort County Community Foundation, the Imagination Library, Kathy and her team, and our parents and children who come into the library.
Okay, a plug for me. That's one more reason to go to the Oxford Library, probably the finest library on the planet, and there are other really good ones locally, and ask them about the program and how you can help maybe either register or contribute. But I have a question for you. Don't all parents have books to read to their little kids? I mean, this sounds lovely and all that, but golly, it seems like most surely every parent has a bunch of books sitting around
Probably not, unfortunately.
Really? Why not?
As a primary teacher, a kindergarten teacher, it was not unusual to have children who would come to school with no books in their home collection.
No books in home.
One thing that's wonderful about the Imagination Library program too is that there are no income requirements. We are actually trying to reach out into underserved areas, Head Start, our Hispanic community, places that would normally not know about such a program. So we've sent information to all of our local preschools to be shared with their families. So no, children do not all have books, unfortunately, and they don't have the quality of books that you're going to get from this kind of a program.
Well, if the kids that get them are anything like my kids, each of these books will be read 742 times.
Well, there's a great little documentary that is on the website at Imagination Library where a father who's a professional man said, when the books come to our home, he said, we have many books, but when this book comes in the mail, everything stops.
Bravo.
We open the book, we read it, I read it, Mom reads it, older children read it. So getting your own book in the mail is too exciting.
That's pretty special. Now, how long has the Dolly Parton organization been involved, and have they distributed more than a few books?
They're into millions of books. I don't know exactly how long, but I also know that there are some states who have the program statewide.
Okay.
That would be one of our goals eventually, to have the program taken over by the state, so every child in Michigan would be eligible. But in the meantime, we're doing the local affiliate.
Are there other localities, probably not as cool as our locality,
Not as cool.
but are there other localities that are also trying to set in motion this wonderful program?
St. Clair County already has the entire county
Okay.
enrolled,
All right.
but open. I just had a call from a librarian in Holly the other day,
Right.
interested in how they would get the program going. Clarkston has a program.
So there are some communities that have their own Imagination Library affiliate
Got it.
in that community. If we hadn't joined on with the Fort County Community Foundation, we may have done that on our own.
Understood.
But as you know, in our area, and Kathy mentioned this early on, it's kind of challenging because we have multiple zip codes and our school districts run over into other counties. So it does make it a bit of a challenge. But the nice thing is, and with School of Choice too, we have that additional challenge in play because we have individuals who may come to our school, may use our library, but they live outside of the service area. The nice thing is, when we get those applications in, we can sift through them. And oftentimes we can be the individuals or the organization that sort of, if we know that they're not eligible in our service area, if there's a local service area in their zip code, we can help them hand that off to that service organization that covers their area, so that every child can have a book to be able to sit down and read.
A good example of that is, until we were an affiliate, United Way of Lapeer County had they have more than three, but they had 3 zip codes that are in our service area that they were providing books for children. So we decided to take those 3 over. They traded them off for us so they could take 3 more on. So we gathered about 40 children from them who were already receiving books, but now they're receiving them through us. That allowed United Way of Lapeer to take on some other zip codes.
Excellent.
And expand their service area.
Spread the wealth.
Spread the wealth.
So how much money do you need? How much money is needed to completely build out the cost for, what you said, 4,000 kids? How much more is needed?
Well, if we got to that, we would be close to $10,000 a month that we'd be expending. So the fund just has to keep growing and growing. And it is an endowed fund. So for our listeners and viewers, an endowed fund, we hope to, in time, generate enough interest off of the fund to pay for itself.
Yeah.
Right now, some of our donors are listing this as spendable money. So that's what we got a large donation from a donor, and that's what prompted us to, let's go. Let's start getting books in the hands of kids.
Okay. Back to you, Brian, for a minute. The required minimum distribution that some of us enjoy contributing to our government. I've learned a bit about this, and that there are ways to donate some of the money that would come back to me, which would be taxable, to charitable organizations which could benefit from it, and I wouldn't, or there would be no taxes taken out. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Could you tell the folks who are watching a little bit about that, please?
Well, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not an attorney.
Yep.
So I really don't give tax advice on that note. However, I can say that we do have individuals in our community that have chosen the Oxford Public Library as a charitable organization to give to. And in such, we do have annual contributions that come to the library into the endowment fund for the public library for sustainability. We're extremely grateful for that. In terms of how that works specifically, I advise everyone to speak with their own personal tax accountant or attorney, or if you have a trust and you're working with an attorney on a trust or something of that nature, you always want to talk to whoever is managing your estate or your taxes or your retirement funds, your financial advisor. They can all assist you with that. I legally cannot give that advice, but certainly those individuals are qualified to do that.
Got it. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Clear, concise, and the lawyers would approve. Yep.
One other thing that we have done to try and promote is we have visited all the local funeral homes. Which
Interesting.
sounds like an unusual way of promoting the program. But if by chance someone in your family passes away and you would like to have a local remembrance memorial fund for your family member, you can use Imagination Library through 4 County. So we've distributed information to all the funeral directors so they would have the information ready if somebody's looking for something local.
And it might be a heartwarming thing to do in memory of my Aunt Jean, to give books so that a bunch of little ones who may not have books can get once a month.
Exactly.
That would be something special.
Exactly.
All right, good. Well, you two have been wonderful sources of information. I'd like to start with this. That's my part.
So much. We will definitely add that to our
20 won't buy much, but I'll challenge you
many
to
books.
get to Brian at the library and talk to them about how they can help, and get a hold of your organization. How again can they get a hold of your organization, please?
Best thing is 4ccf.org.
4ccf.org. I have a funny feeling that might appear magically on the bottom of our TV screen. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
Just to assure the community that we appreciate and we take your dollars to heart, and we're very grateful. There are no administrative costs. That
Good point.
None of
That's
us
a very
are paid
valid point.
any salary or anything. It's all volunteer work. And also, we are actively working on writing grants to fund the program. We don't qualify for some grants because we're not a K-12 program or whatever, but we're actively searching corporate grants that will help us build our endowment.
Excellent. All right. Anything else, Brian?
I just want to say thank you to Kathy and all of the folks that Kathy has brought together and assembled to do this, because we've been, as I mentioned, we've been thinking about it for some time and really not sure how we would do this on our own. But when we bring people together and community together, anything is possible, and that's what makes this such a special program.
Excellent. All right. You have your marching orders. We hope very much that you'll listen, think about people that should know about this, get a hold of the folks who can help children get books sent directly to them, break with a little bit of your cash, maybe get your required minimum distribution headed in a good direction here. And on balance, we want to thank the two of you for coming in.
Thank you
Best
for
of
having
luck.
us.
Yep. All right. Good to talk to you
Appreciate
today. Brian, it's good to see you again.
Likewise.
This is Chuck Cameron. That's your assignment. Have a good day.